Hey guys, welcome back. This is Bernard from BTN HD. As you saw at the very beginning of the video, there was a quick unboxing of the beautiful ThinkPad X280. Pretty simple inside the box. You're going to get a Type-C 65 watt power adapter, setup menu, and a warranty guide. And right here in front of me, I have a number 4 envelope. Inside the envelope, we have the beautiful ThinkPad X280. The reason why I have it inside the envelope, because I want to show you guys that this guy is a super thin, lightweight ultra laptop, weighing under 3 pounds. The entire body is made out of ABS PC plastic, making it super easy to travel with and to use. But is it really worth purchasing? So let's get down into the review. All right, so let's open up the beautiful ThinkPad X280. Let's open this guy up. Awesome, look at that. Now, one of the things I love about the X280 is it comes with a fingerprint scanner, which allows you to log in using your fingerprints. It's an additional security to log in to your machine. Your power button is located right here at the top, so let's power it on. Now, the ThinkPad X280 has a lot of ports and connections. On your right-hand side, you have your vent right here. Right next to that, you have one 3.1 USB ports. On your left-hand side, we have your combo audio jack, which allows you to hook up your mic and headphone. One HDMI port. We have an additional 3.1 USB always on ports. We have 2 Type-C ports. This one right here allows you to hook up your ThinkPad connection dock. And this one right here allows you to hook up your power adapter. Now, I do have the X280 configured with the fingerprint to log in. So I'm going to log in using my fingerprint. And then boom, that's it. How awesome is that? So let's talk about the keyboard on the X280. The keyboard on the X280 is amazing. I love the way it feels when I was typing. I had no issues. If you want to know the distance between each key, if you take a quarter and a dime, that is your distance between each key. They're nicely separated to the point that you are able to type extremely fast and not make a lot of mistakes. Now, one of the things that I've seen a lot with these ThinkPads from Lenovo is the function key and the control key. To me, I'm so used to having the function key in between the control and the Windows key, but Lenovo solves that with their program called Vantage. So if you open up Vantage and you go inside hardware settings and you go inside inputs, once that loads up, you are able to go all the way to the bottom. So let's scroll all the way to the bottom. And right here, you have an option to swap it out. You know, your function key is going to act like your control key, and your control key is going to act like the function key. Also, the keyboard is backlit on the X280, which is a huge plus for me. Now, let's talk about the trackpad. Now, the trackpad on the X280 did not have any issues at all. Super happy on this particular trackpad with the 280, because I've had issues with a lot of the trackpads with the ThinkPad lineup that are not responsive. They kind of hesitate, they freeze up sometimes. Sometimes on the corner doesn't work. The X280, it works with no problem. Now, if you want to know the measurement of the X280 trackpad, if you take 3 dimes, 1 nickel, and a quarter, that's your measurement, which is awesome. Now, for the display on the X280, this guy comes with a 12.5-inch Full HD. Now, the one that I have is Full HD with a resolution of 1920 by 1080. It is IPS, anti-glare, multi-touch, which allows you to touch it. I really didn't see myself using the multi-touch a lot because, again, you can't fold it up into a tablet. So me using this feature, I didn't use it at all, but I was happy to use my external BenQ monitor, my 4K monitor, which allows me to do full 4K with the Type-C port on both of them. I was able to output 4K naturally with no problem. So that's a huge plus. And that's because this machine is running an Intel Ultra HD 620 graphics card. I was also surprised that this machine was running the Ultra 620 and I did not have any green issues with Premiere when I was editing my videos for you guys. A lot of the ThinkPads that I've been testing out with you guys that had the 620 Ultra HD graphics card, I had a lot of green issues and I had to go inside my project settings to change the settings. With the X280, I did not have to do that at all. Now, at the very top of the display, you're going to get a 720 HD webcam, but the cool thing about this particular model, it comes with the Think Shutter for privacy. That's pretty awesome. You are able to configure the X280 to get an IR camera, but you're not going to get the Think Shutter. Right next to the webcam, you're going to get your dual mics, which works extremely well when you're doing Zoom or Skype calls. I had no issues at all. Now, when I was using the ThinkPad X280, I was doing a lot of rendering 4K videos within Premiere. I did notice a lot of heating issue around this area. Now, don't get me wrong, the machine does have a vent to try to keep it cool, but this single vent located on the right-hand side, I don't think it's enough to keep the entire X280 nice and cool. Okay, so the X280 has a little bit of heating issue, not a lot to be concerned. But how about the battery? The battery is really important when you deal with mobile devices. Now, for the X280, I was a little disappointed that I got maybe 5 hours, 5 to 6 hours, right? I ran PC Mark 3 times. On the first test, it gave me about 5 hours and 12 minutes. I said to myself, that's not that bad. But when I ran it again, it gave me 3 hours and 56. When I ran it the third time, it gave me 3 hours and 53 minutes. So I said to myself, whoa, the battery kind of sucks on the X280. Now, for me, I love to keep track of how long the battery kind of charged up. And the X280 took about an hour and 46 minutes to charge up. Now, I started with 17%, and to get 100%, an hour 46, that's not that bad. That was pretty cool. And now you got to understand, I'm not using it at all. Sometimes, you know, I'm clicking on the trackpad to wake it up so I could look at the numbers so I could write it down for you guys. But an hour and 46 is really good. On my fourth test, it took about 5 hours and 27 minutes. So PC Mark was dead on how long the battery will last. So let's conclude our review on the X280. Let's talk about the pricing. Now, the pricing for the ThinkPad X280 was expensive, but it looks like Lenovo dropped the price. So let's go inside the Lenovo site. And back then it used to be $1,200 something, and that's the starting price. Right now it's under $1,000, but you have to understand this starting price is going to give you a mediocre kind of machine. So let's look at the current models. And the one that's going to be under $1,000 is going to give you the following. It's definitely going to give you an 8th generation i5-8250U processor with a clock speed of 160. But for display, you're not going to get the full HD with a resolution of 1920 by 1080. This particular model, you're going to get the 1366 by 768. But no touch. Now, for memory, this is the only thing I don't like about this laptop. You're stuck. You got to make the right choice when you're purchasing it. You can only get 8 gigs and 16 gigs. That's a huge limitation with this particular laptop. It's a beautiful, strong laptop, but only getting an 8 or 16 gig, that kind of sucks. I did run a scan on it. And again, standard memory of 4 to 16 gigs, that's the only thing that you could get. It kind of sucks, and it's non-removable. Now, the most expensive one that you could get is going to cost you around $1,800. This one is definitely going to give you the i7-8650U processor, full HD with a resolution of 1920 1080, the multi-touch screen, 16 gigs again on board. You're stuffed with 16 gigs, a great solid-state drive. That's awesome. And you're definitely going to get that Ultra HD Graphics 620, which supports full HD with the Type-C port. That's awesome. On the less expensive one, you're not going to get the fingerprint reader, but if you customize it, you are able to add it into the build. Like I mentioned before, I use this particular machine editing 4K and rendering with no problem. With a 3-minute 4K video, it took about less than 15 minutes. It's not that bad if you have a lot of time, but if you like in deadlines, this laptop is definitely not it. If you need to produce a 5-minute 4K video out quickly, 15 to 25, 30 minutes, it's not great. But I was surprised with the particular specifications on this particular machine. If I right click on the taskbar and I go to Task Manager, it kind of surprised me because I was able to edit smoothly within Premiere a 4K video. So if I right click on the CPU and go inside change graphic to logical processor. Now this processor has 4 cores, 8 logical processors, and it is the Intel Core i5-8250U with a clock speed of 1.60. This one is the 8 gig memory, and it has a Samsung 512 gigabyte solid state drive. And again, it does have the Ultra HD Graphics 620, which allows me to insert a 4K monitor which is awesome. Now, a couple of things that I did not like about the ThinkPad X280 is one, the location of the micro SD card slot, the fact that I have to insert something inside the pin to eject it and then add the micro SD card slot and then put it back in. That's just a hassle. The display size 12.5 is really hard for me to adjust myself in using a 12.5 display because when I was using like Premiere, I like to adjust my panels with a little small display. It's not really great for me, but I do love the fact that it is able to edit and render out 4K videos. It's just the limitation of the power. If I was running an i7 8th generation processor with 16 gigs of memory, I think the performance time with the 4K rendering could have been a little lower. Now, the multi-touch feature with the X280 it's nice to have, but I did not see myself using it as much. For brightness, this is the highest that you could go, and this is the lowest. And last but not least, the battery life. Around 5.5 to 6 hours is not that bad, but I always like to have a laptop that would give me at least 7 hours or 7.5 hours. I mean, if I were to tweak the settings, maybe change the brightness a little lower and went inside the battery and change it to better performance or something like that, I could have got a little bit more time. But overall, it's a great little laptop. Super surprised that Lenovo changed the pricing. The starting price used to be $1,200. Now it's under $1,000. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this review on the ThinkPad X280. If you have any comments or concerns, leave them at the bottom. Don't forget about hitting that like button. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.